Halloween. This is Halloween. Pumpkin screaming all night. This is Halloween. Everybody make a scene. Trick or treat. Everybody make a scene. It's our town. Everybody scream.
Boo, Blazers. Fix the lighting and the camera situation a little bit, but hi, happy late Halloween, because this video is going to be coming out a little bit later than usual. Sorry about that. I did a little bit too many vlogs and didn't really think about that. I'm going to be doing my Halloween get ready with me like I do every year. I'll link a playlist up in the cards and down below if you guys want to watch my previous ones. This year, as the title suggests, I am doing Hop Frog. There's a lot to discuss, so we're gonna like jump right into it. Also, this makeup is going to be quite difficult for me, so please don't judge. If you haven't been around for my Halloween get ready with me's, when there is a story behind it or a poem behind it that I can actually like go into detail and tell you the story or the poem or anything and explain my costume, I do. So this year I'm going as Hop Frog, and I can indeed go into the short story of Edgar Allan Poe's Hop Frog. If you are new to this channel, every year since 2012 minus 2013, I go as something related to Edgar Allan Poe for Halloween. Look at that serum just dripping down everywhere. So yes, this year I am going as the beloved Hop Frog. So I'll just stop saying that and go on with the story. So this story takes place anywhere between the 14 and 1600s. I know that is a huge gap. And it takes place in a country that is in Western Europe, probably England. It's in one of those countries. It's not very specific. In one of these countries, probably England, there is a king. And he's not a very good king. He's not very good at ruling. He likes to joke and jape. Jape is just another word for joke about, and not in a very nice way. He's very cruel with his jokes. He has 7 ministers, which is like his highest courtiers that he has that sit at his table. And they are very cruel along with him. They just go along with him. And he's just a very unfit ruler. And he's a no good. And when we talk about his cruel jokes, in comes his personal jester, Hop Frog. Now, I hope I'm being politically correct when I say this, because this is how he is described. So if I'm not, please don't come at me. Hop Frog is a dwarf, and he is deformed. He has deformations, I hope that's a word, which makes it very painful for him to walk about his normal life. It's very, very sad. And the king and his 7 ministers often joke and jape about this and make him do things that are very embarrassing and just horrible and humiliating. But Hop Frog is very good at swinging from trees. He's very good at swinging from trees and things like inside the castle wall. Ropes and stuff like that will come up in the story later, or keep that in mind for put a pin in that. Hop Frog does have one companion who sees him as just a average human being who does not treat him like absolute total poo-poo. Her name is Tripetta, and she is said to, quote unquote, let me find the quote, to be a little less dwarfish than himself. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if that means that she is a dwarf herself, or if that just means she is a smaller person, but it is said that she has a full women's, body. So I guess she's a dwarf, but she's not as small as Hop Frog. And, she's not treated well by the king as well. So there's that. The king is just a piece of shit. Might as well be Joffrey Baratheon. But Hop Frog is in love with Tripetta, and it feels very protective of Tripetta, very much so. One day, the king decides he wants to have the masquerade of all masquerades in the kingdom, like the biggest balls. He wants to have the biggest balls of them all. He wants to blow the roof off this joint. And he gets all of his 7 ministers together and he's like, let's do this, bitch. And he's like, they're all like, yes, king, because they're all yes men. And he tells the entire courtiers, all the courtiers, to go get their masks ready, dress up. This, do not be peasantry, do not dress in peasant clothes. I want y'all looking good for my ball, for my masquerade. I want this to chef kisses. So all the courtiers for like weeks and even like it said sometimes months work on their masks for the masquerades, and they're all like wearing stuff like cat masks and like rabbits and witches and stuff like that. And the king and his ministers are kind of sitting around and they're like, we're bored. We don't want to go, and the masquerade is coming up and they're like, we don't want to go dressed as like the normal masquerade stuff, which everybody else is going dressed as. We want to do something different. We want to do something spectacular. So they call in Hop Frog and Tripetta because Hop Frog is known to have really good ideas when it comes to this kind of thing. Guess he's a really good party planner and like really good at costumes and shit. Tripetta's like the party planner and Hop Frog's good at like putting on a show. The king knew that Hop Frog was not into drinking because it kind of made him go, what it says in the story, mad. So it made him kind of go insane and not feel too well. So Hop Frog always kind of tried to decline drinking, but the king always made him. So the king gave him wine. He made him drink the wine. I used way too much rouge. Oh no. We'll try to fix it. Oh well. We're being a jester, so you know, not a clown, but close enough. So the king's like, drink the wine, Hop Frog. We want you to drink the wine, come up with some good ideas. And him being the fool, the jester, and him being the king, he can't refuse. So he drinks the wine and he's not happy about doing it. And the king and his men his 7 ministers are laughing their asses off. They're like, LMAO, this is so funny. And I'm sure if they had cell phones back then, they'd be video and TikToking the shit out of that. They'd be like, look what we're making this poor young man do. Look what we're doing. And it's not funny. But Tripetta tries to step in and is like, can you guys like try to chill and not do this to this poor guy? And King gets real fucking pissed, dude. He gets so pissed and he pushes Tripetta down, shoves her down to the ground, and takes his cup of wine, and splashes it all over Tripetta. And she just has no choice but to just kind of take it and sits there for a few minutes and gets up and acts like nothing has happened. Because again, what is she supposed to do? She's just a servant. He's a kid. At this point, poor Hop Frog was just crying and the king kept making him drink wine glass after wine glass. And then the room went completely silent for like almost a minute. And then they hear this harsh grating sound. And the king looked at Hop Frog and was like, what is that sound coming from, Hop Frog? What is that? And Hop Frog was like, it's not me. He's kind of like also laughing hysterically and not like crazy, like he's gone insane yet. But like, he's laughing hysterically and he's like, it's not me, dog. Not coming from me. I don't know what you're talking about. Totally in denial. And one of his ministers says, I think it's coming from the parrot across the room. And the king's like, okay, but I'm pretty sure it's coming from Hop Frog. But they move on from that and they go on. And Hop Frog says, I have a splendid idea that came to me while you shoved down that girl and you heard that noise from that parrot, I just got the best idea for what you can do for the masquerade. And King was like, tell, say no more, but say more. So Hop Frog says it's going to involve 8 people. So that's the only issue. And the King's like, there's no issue with that. I have 7 ministers and myself. So tell us, what is it? So Hop Frog says it's called the 8 Chang orangutans. Now, since I don't want to keep saying orangutans, I'm just going to say apes for the rest of this, okay? Because orangutans are apes. So that's what I'm going to say for the rest of this. And the King is already intrigued and is like, go on. So Hop Frog says what we're going to do is we're going to dress all of you as apes, and we are going to chain you all together, and we are going to scare the living shit out of all of your guests. They are going to be pissing themselves scared. You guys are going to all act like apes, and they're going to think that there's actually like apes like in the ballroom with them. And the King was like, hell yeah, absolutely on board. This is what we're doing. So he orders Hop Frog to go make the costumes right then and there. I guess Hop Frog is also a tailor. I don't know. He made the costumes. Hop Frog's done. He makes the costumes. It's the day of the big masquerade, and everybody's filling up the ballroom. They're all having a great time. And before the masquerade even started, Trapetta was put in charge of putting all the decorations up and everything like that and getting everything set up. And Hop Frog told her to take down the giant chandelier that was in the middle of the ballroom, and she said, okay. While everyone else is in the ballroom, Hop Frog is getting the King and his 7 ministers in their outfits, in their costumes, and he's putting them together with so much sticky stuff such as glue and even tar. That's important to remember. He's even putting tar on them to put their ape costumes on. So they're having fun, and they're like snickering, and they're like, this is gonna be so much fun. This is gonna be sick. And he chains them all together, attached to each other at the waist, and puts them into a circle and has them in like certain diameters that make sense to Hop Frog, obviously. So when everybody is least expecting it and they're all chilling, having some drinks and doing some dancing and just doing things you do at a masquerade, the King and his men all enter, chain together, and start acting like apes, and everybody starts freaking out. There are women who are screaming and fainting. All the men are panicking. People try leaving the whole entire castle to begin with, but the King demanded that all the doors in the castle be locked in the first place before the masquerade even started. So there was absolutely no escape. So everybody is completely freaking out, and there is chaos and mayhem, and the King is loving this. He's like, this was such a great idea. I'm so glad I thought of it. And while everybody was panicking and screaming, and the King and his men were just freaking everybody out, nobody noticed that Hop Frog was having the hook and the chain that was holding the hook that holds the chandelier that's in the middle of the big ballroom. He was having it lowered down very, very slowly in the middle of the room because their attention was being occupied elsewhere. Frog then takes the King and his men by like just the chains and just slightly puts the hook and takes the chains from the men and attaches them to the hook on there, and they see this and they're not bothered by it. Don't know why they're not suspicious of it, but they're not bothered by it. So good for Hop Frog. Now has the King and his men like face to face, like all squished together, and he shouts out like, I'm gonna find out who you people really are. I know you're not apes. I'm gonna find out who you guys are. And now all the people are starting to kind of like settle down and see that it is a joke and like a gotcha, like it's fine and everything. And now they're starting to kind of laugh along with it. And Hop Frog goes by a rope and just starts swinging around in the ballroom, because remember, he's good at that kind of thing. So he takes a rope and he goes and he grabs a torch that's lighting up the ballroom, and he grabs a torch and he goes back and he just kind of places himself onto the king's head and all of his men. Like he's on top of all of them now. I really have to pay attention to this part really bad, because I am really bad at this. My God, it looks like devil horns. Not good. Not good. But you know what? Could be worse. Could be worse. Not liking this. Don't make it worse. Don't make it worse. Don't make it worse. Hop Frog's on top of the men, and even the king and the men are still laughing about this, even though he's got a flaming torch there, you know, on top of them. And he then has the chained men and the chain and the hook and everything risen to the top of the ceiling with himself with the torch in hand, and all the king and all the king's men. And now the king and his men and the party goers and everybody are starting to panic. That's when they start going, what's going on here exactly? This doesn't seem very funny anymore, Mr. Frog. What's going on here? They don't really say anything, and Hop Frog's like, I'm gonna figure out who you guys are. Then that low, harsh, grating sound can be heard again. Oh God, this is so difficult to do. Oh, this makeup is hard. Whoever says that jester makeup is easy is just lying to you. Clown makeup is not easy. I don't know who the hell said that. I don't know how people make this look so damn easy. Forget making it look symmetrical, just the skin stuff. So they hear that gnashing, harsh noise again, because everything had gone silent, and they look at Hop Frog and they can see visibly him gnashing and grinding his teeth. It obviously is Hop Frog again, and this time he has completely gone insane. He's gone full mad attack. Hop Frog. And Hop Frog goes, I've got it. I figured it out. You are the king and his 7 ministers. A king who would push down and assault a helpless, defenseless girl and laugh about it. At this point, he is just foaming at the mouth, angry, and he takes the torch and he sets the king and his 7 ministers on fire. And they are screaming for their lives, obviously, and all the onlookers are screaming and like begging for like them for him to stop. And Hop Frog is just standing there on top of them laughing. And Hops, get it, Hops. He hops onto the banister, swings onto the banister, and so he doesn't get burned, and watches them burn. And it is left, they are left just burning to death. And he says, and I quote, I am simply Hop Frog the jester, and this was my last jest. And as he says that, the smoke clears and you just see the bones of all the king and all of his men. And the reason they were burned so badly was because of the tar that Hop Frog had put on him, or put on all of them. Yeesh. Hop Frog then swung out of a window, an open window, and he escaped. And it is said that Trippetta was his accomplice, and I think that's kind of obvious. And they left together, and they were never seen again. And that is how the story of Hop Frog ends. The story of a wild revenge on a really horrible king that tortured and humiliated a poor, defenseless couple, human beings that had it really, really hard in life as it was, and used them as jokes and something to laugh at and something to pick on and beat up. And he had finally had enough, not just for himself, but for Trippetta. He didn't do it just because of what he did for Trippetta, but for what he had been put through for years. But I think for what he saw, what he did to Trippetta, it was just kind of the last straw. And for what he did with like the whole wine drinking thing. It was just that enough was enough. So yeah, Hop Frog is a bit of a savage, is he not? I love him. I love him. This is the first time I'm doing a male character for Halloween, Edgar Allan Poe related. I've either ever done females or non-gender related. So yeah, I'm kind of femailifying him a little bit. Not too much, but kind of, I guess. Now, again, as I do every single year, let's talk about the best and worst of 31 Days of Horror movies that I did. That's either new or new to me. I had so much fun this year because I did a lot with Mama Blaze for the first time. She'll usually watch like one thing with me. But like we watched so much together this year, and that made me so freaking happy. So that was like my favoriteest thing. So my absolute favorite thing was the new mini series of The Fall of the House of Usher. I was so skeptical because there were some people that said it sucked, and obviously Edgar Allan Poe, I was like, please don't do him dirty. Please don't do him dirty. And I absolutely loved it. Next favorite was Hubie's Halloween. I watched it with Mama Blaze, and I watched The Fall of House of Usher with Mama Blaze. I thought Hubie's Halloween was super cute and super fun. It was really adorable. I just thought it was a really funny little just fun thing you can watch with the family. And The Menu, I thought was very, very well done. I really enjoyed that movie as well. So those were my three top new or new to me things that I watched for 31 Days of Horror. Now, let's get to the worst. And there were some stinkers. I'm just going to put it down to two. The Friendship Game. I didn't have high hopes for it going in, but holy shit, was it terrible. I fell asleep twice. I had to rewind because I was like, wait, what? I had to rewind because I fell asleep twice. The Friendship Game, awful. Terrible. If you follow me on Snapchat and on, I think I put it on Instagram and on Discord, they said that they put it out as like the scariest movie of all time. How dare you? That title belongs to The Exorcist, and rightfully so. And Skinamarink. Just because you make a movie artsy does not make it good. Do you understand that there is bad art out there? Art does not equal good. Okay? And that shows in the movie Skinamarink. It is terrible. It is a different kind of movie. Different does not mean good. It is the most boring, horrible, stupid shit that I could not wait for it to be done. I don't think that there's ever been a movie ever in my life that I was counting the seconds until it was done. I was angry. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Hi, editing Blaze here. I filmed this at like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. and I realized that I didn't really go into too much detail about my favorite and least favorite movies and or limited series. And I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more. I was so tired filming this video. Oh, The Fall of the House of Usher. So well done. I didn't know what direction they were going to go in with this. When I saw the trailer, I was like, okay. I was a little skeptical, but I saw the actors. They were, some of the actors I knew, some of the actors I didn't. Director I knew of doing The Haunting of Hill House and The Manor of Bly, and I was like, okay, he does good. Okay. Mama Blaze said, hey, I want to watch that with you. I said, wonderful, because Mama Blaze watched so many horror and thriller movies with me this year, which made Halloween time and spooky season bearable this year. Honestly, Mama Blaze was the GOAT this year. Loved the direction they went in with this. I loved all the Easter eggs and the odes they paid to Edgar. I loved it so much. I loved how well the acting, even the characters I didn't like, I loved the acting that was involved in it. The show just was brilliant, and it was very Edgar Allan Poe-esque. I know people are going to say obviously, but it was very well done to make it feel very like, if you didn't know it was done based on Edgar Allan Poe stuff, you'd be like, this is very Edgar Allan Poe-esque. Hubie's Halloween, like I said, it's a very, very funny, cute movie you can watch kind of with your whole family. It's a very, like, which is weird to say about an Adam Sandler movie, but it is. It's a very cute little funny Halloween movie, and I would suggest it. Me and Mama Blaze had a really fun time watching it. The menu, again, with the actors, so many good actors. Like, off the chart act. First of all, Nicholas Hoult. You guys know I have a special place in my heart for Nicholas Hoult. So, same thing with Anya Taylor-Joyce. Ralph Fiennes. Love that man. So many brilliant actors in that movie. So well done. It was both funny and suspenseful, and you didn't really know what direction it was going to go in. And it was just a brilliantly artsy, so well done movie, and different. It wasn't like every other thriller. And like, I knew you kind of knew what like the basis was based on the trailer, but you really didn't know what direction it was going to go in, when, and how it was going to be done. It was just a very well done movie. So props to the menu. Friendship Game, pretty much the trailer gave it away. It was a terrible, terrible, awful movie. Like I said, it put me to sleep twice. It was awful. It was god awful. It was stupid. It was boring. Your basic teen horror movie. It wasn't horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible. It put the horror in horrible. Not many movies can put me to sleep twice. But then I rewound it twice, or however you kids call it nowadays. But I was like, I have to watch the whole thing for 31 Days of Horror. So I gotta, go back and make it make sense. It still didn't really make, it was stupid. It was stupid. The ending was god awful. Definitely skip on the Friendship Game. I wish they didn't stay friends. Shouldn't have stayed friends. Should kill each other. And I cannot stress how bad Skinamarink was. To call that the new scariest movie of all time is an insult to all horror movies. It is an insult. I pretty much hit the nail on the head in this video already. How you cannot make something artsy and expect it to be good. That there is such thing as bad art. And this was an example of bad art. You can make a different movie and still make it a bad movie. This movie, as I was watching it, I was posting on social media how angry I was and how I was just waiting, counting down the seconds for it to be over. And they say my real name in this movie a lot. I know you guys know my real name, but let's just keep saying Blaze. They say it over, they whisper it over and over again. And I was just like, what? What do you want? Please just end. I was like screaming. Like my mom was like, dude, are you okay? Like, girl, you okay? Is everything... I was like, no, I just want this movie to be over. I think Dexter started crying at one point because I was just yelling at this movie about how horrible it was. And the fact that it was yelling my real name, or sorry, whispering my real name over and over again was making me that much angrier. There's a little bit more insight. I just wanted to put some editor's notes in there. Sorry if I seem a little out of it. This was filmed again at like 8:30-ish this morning, and I was very tired, running on no sleep. And this year was a very hard year for the Blaze family, for the past few months especially. We just recently had another death in the family, and I'm not going to go too much into it. And yeah, so I'm sorry again for being a little bit out of it. I did the best I could. Hope you guys enjoyed this video anyway. So I love you guys, and happy Halloween. I'm going to get dressed into my costume now. Okay, well, it's totally out of frame, but I got my little jester hat on, and I put some fake blood on everything to make it look like that. And I forgot to put some little soot on, some fake soot on from the fire on my face. So I did that off camera too. So this is my costume. I did the best with what I got. Thank you guys so much for doing this Get Ready with me. I hope you guys enjoyed the story of Hop Frog. I'm sorry if I stumbled a bit or was a little bit awkward with it. It's been a really rough month this month, so my attention was a lot of the times occupied elsewhere, so this was really just rough to do, guys. I really had to procrastinate and was not prepared as I usually am, as prepared as I usually am, so I do apologize about that. Yeah, I hope you guys had a good Halloween. What did you guys dress up as Halloween? If you did dress up, what did you guys do for Halloween? I want to know down below. I love you guys, and I hope you guys are staying healthy and happy, or at least as healthy and happy as you can be. And until next time, my beautiful ones, stay wicked.